Welcome again to the Old Principle 老校长的英文节目. And we are now at number 125, a cold little boy. Does he look cold? I think so. Either that or sad, but he's supposed to be cold. So, before we begin, we must have the story. So, Mrs. Ash, would you join us with a cold little boy? Back
Sure.
a little bit there. Okay.
A little boy selling newspapers on the corner watched people pass in and out of stores while he stood in the cold. He was so cold he wasn't even trying to sell his papers. He asked a policeman, "Mister, do you know where a poor boy can find a warm place to sleep?" The policeman smiled at the boy. "Yes, go down the street to that big white house and knock on the door. When they open the door, just say John 3:16, and they'll let you in." The boy climbed the steps and knocked. As a lady opened the door, he said, "John 3:16. "Come in, son." She sat him in a rocking chair by a huge fireplace. The boy wondered, John 3:16. I don't understand it, but it sure makes a cold boy warm. The lady returned and asked, "Are you hungry?" "Yes, ma'am. I haven't eaten in 2 days." The lady took him to a table full of food. He ate his fill. The lady took him up to a bathroom with a huge tub filled with warm water. He sat there and soaked for a while and smiled. I've never had a real bath in my life." The lady then took him to a bedroom and tucked him into a feather bed, kissed him good night, and turned out the light. He lay in the darkness, looking out at the snow. Then he shut his eyes and went to sleep. The next morning, the lady took him down to the table that was again full of food. After he ate, she took him to the old rocking chair again and picked up a big Bible. She sat down and asked, "Do you know John 3:16? "No, ma'am." She opened a Christian Bible and read to him the John 3:16 section. The little boy really didn't understand. How could he? But he did understand one thing, that the lady was awfully nice to a total stranger. Is this too good to be true? Are there people as kind as that lady? What motivates people to do kind deeds? Of course, I wondered if God could really be that good also.
Oh, thank you. Have you ever seen a little boy that was homeless? 无家可归?
I've seen adults, but not children
Not
so much.
Not children.
Yeah.
Actually, there are some countries in the world that are that way, that the children, even children have no place to go. Wow, that's something. Anyway, interesting story, right?
Yeah.
And now you're free and I teach a little bit. Okay? Thank you. Okay, all good stories say, once upon a time, a long, long time ago. Going on. A little boy selling newspapers on the corner watched people pass in and out of stores while he stood in the cold. A little boy, okay, we know that, selling newspapers, my Boucher, okay, on the corner. Now, in English, we usually say corner, we mean the corner of the street. The corner of the street. So, in this case, corner would be 街角, okay? 街角 maybe is a better way of saying it in Chinese. 一条街跟一条街的一个角. Remember, you have a 十字路口, and so you have four corners. Okay? So, he's on the corner. Why? Because that's where lots of people are. Lots of people are on the corners, right? So he's watching the people pass in and out of stores. So what's happening? They're going into stores, they're coming out of stores. Okay? Very, very busy street. People buying things and doing things. Okay? And he stood in the cold. So it was not a warm. 不是很温暖的，是冷冷的一个地方. He stood in the cold. That means the weather was cold. Usually we just say, and he stood in the cold. Going on. He was so cold that he wasn't even trying to sell his newspapers. So cold. 冷到什么地步呢? He was so cold, he wasn't even trying to sell his newspapers. 根本没有能力卖他的报纸. He was really cold. And so, what do you do if you're selling newspapers and you're so cold you can't sell newspapers? Obviously, there's a problem. Going on. He asked the policeman, 所以他就请问一个警察, okay, Mr. 先生, do you know where a poor boy can find a warm place to sleep? 你知道有没有一个地方一个穷的孩子可以睡觉？不是一般的地方啊。He says a warm place, 一个温暖的地方啊，让一个小孩子一个小孩子能够睡觉。Going on, the policeman smiled. He smiled. 他有笑容，他就笑，他就说 Go down the street. Now, usually when we say go down the street, that means to walk or drive down the street. In this case, walk down the street to that big white house and knock on the door. Okay? So you go down the street and there's a big white house and you are supposed to knock on the doors. And going on, when they open the door, just say John 3:16. So, what's he supposed to do? Go down the street, knock on the door. When somebody, 有人开门的时候, all he's supposed to say is John 3:16. Okay, see? John 3:16. And they will let you in. 他们会让你进去. Sounds pretty good, right? Going on. The boy climbed the steps. He walked down the street. He climbed the steps. 这个爬这个楼梯 okay? 上这个楼梯 climbed the steps and knocked, to knock on the door. As the lady opened the door, so there was a lady, 一个妇人，一个女人, opened the door, and he said, John 3:16. John 3:16. Going on. Come in, son. Huh. It worked. It worked. Wow. I said John 3:16, and she let me in the house. Going on, she sat him in a rocking chair. You know what a rocking chair is? Nowadays, I don't know. Maybe nowadays, I haven't seen too many rocking chairs, but used to have rocking chairs. And you go back and forth, 摇椅. Okay? And have you ever been on a rocking chair? My grandfather's house, we had rocking chairs. In my father's house, no rocking chairs. In my house, no rocking chairs. But many years ago, and even now, you can buy rocking chairs, but they're not so common. As far as I can tell, they're not so common. So she sat him down. That means she asked him to sit down in a certain place. Sat him down in a rocking chair by a huge, of course, is big, right? Fireplace. 壁炉. Have you ever seen a fireplace? 壁炉, 墙壁的壁, huh? It must be because a fireplace is in the wall. So, and it's open and you just put wood in there and you can see the fire and actually there's some heat. But for me, it helps the atmosphere. 把这个气氛就弄得好. You have an atmosphere, 温暖的气氛. Okay, so it must have been warm. The boy wondered. 他就想 John 3:16. John 3:16. I don't understand it. 根本就不明白 John 3:16. I don't understand it. But it sure makes a cold boy warm. 真正的会使一个冷冰冰的小男孩可以温暖，得到温暖。Okay? So the lady returned and asked, Oh, are you hungry? Are you hungry? So, what do you think he said? Are you hungry? Going on. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am is a lady. Madam, actually. Yes, ma'am. It's a 客气话我们说 yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Okay? When I was in high school, they taught me to say yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. It's 礼貌上的客气话. Okay. I haven't eaten for how many days? 2 days. 已经2天都没有吃东西. Wow. He must have been really hungry. I skip 1 meal and I'm already hungry. Here was a little boy and he hadn't eaten for 2 days. Going on. The lady took him to a table full of food, and he ate his fill. The lady took him to a table. Okay. Now this is 吃饭桌子 to a table full of food, 摆满的满满的 Okay, of food, 有食物. and it says he ate his fill. Now, of course, that means 他吃饱了. That means he could eat everything that he wanted to eat. I imagine he ate a lot. I bet then he felt really good. He ate his fill. Fill in this case means that he was filled up. Filled up, okay? So, 吃饱了. Going on. The lady took him up to a bathroom. Okay, bathroom. It says took him up. So that means that they must have gone upstairs, 上了楼梯, to a bathroom, 洗手间, with a huge tub. Okay. What is a tub? Okay, a tub is 浴池. That's somewhere where you wash. You wash yourself in a tub. Nowadays, a lot of places is 用盆的. But in the old days, and even now, you can have a tub, 这个浴池, and you can fill it up with water. And the water usually feels very good. In fact, when I get in the tub, if I get in the tub, I don't do it very much. If I get in the tub, you know what happens? I get so sleepy. I just feel like sleeping. That's what happens. And the huge tub was filled with warm water. Okay, 装满了水. And he sat there and soaked. What does it mean to soak? It means to 泡水. 它是泡. So he's in the water. And he's just, I can see it right now. He's just like that. He's just, oh, this is good. That's the way he's thinking. He sat there and soaked for a while, and then he smiled. Going on. I've never had a real bath in my life. 我人生从来没有这么样洗个澡. Whoa, I've never had a real bath. 真正的这个洗澡 in my life. He must have been a very poor. Going on. The lady then took him to the bedroom. Okay, 睡房. Okay, bedroom. And tucked him in bed. What does it mean to tuck in bed? Now, in English, to tuck in bed means that the parents actually take and put the child to bed, and they tuck him in. That means 就把这个被子被单这个毛毯等等啊，就弄得整齐的. Okay, to tuck in. The important thing is to tuck in bed simply means the parents are with their child as they go to sleep. Okay, tucked in a feather bed. Whoa, feather bed, very expensive. 很贵很贵，羽毛做的。So this is not very normal, very expensive, really. Feather bed. And kissed him. Oh, 好舒服. Yeah, very comfortable too. And kissed him good night. So kissed him good night. 最后就亲吻他. good night, kiss him good night is the way of saying good night, 再见, and then you kiss. To kiss good night means the very last thing you do. And then she turned out the light, 就关电灯. Going on. He lay in the darkness, looking out at the snow. Okay, 在这个黑暗中啊，看外面的雪地。Okay, 下雪了啊。So he just lay in the darkness and looking out at the snow, and it must have looked really cold, and he was really warm, so comfortable, 好舒服. Then he shut his eyes, 闭上眼睛 to shut his eyes, and went to sleep, 睡着. Going on. The next morning, okay, 第二天早上, the lady took him down to the table that was full of food. Okay, so again, she takes him downstairs to a table full of food. Whoa, 不简单. Going on. After he ate, she took him to the old rocking chair. I'm glad that we wrote old rocking chair because most rocking chairs are quite old nowadays. Okay, yaoi, okay? And she took him there and she picked up a big Bible. 就拿起来一个圣经. Now, the boy has no background, 没有任何一个宗教的背景. And so I think he's saying, well, what's that book? He probably never ever saw one like that before. Going on. She sat down and asked, do you know John 3:16? Now, remember, what was the ticket? 这个门票是什么? Say John 3:16 and the door will open and she'll let you in. And 事实上是这样. Okay? So, ask the boy, do you know? And the boy said, no, ma'am. Of course, I don't know what John 3:16 is. He just knows that it worked. 有效. 但是不晓得到底 John 3:16 是什么. Go ahead. She opened the Christian Bible. 她打开这个基督教的圣经 and 读给他听 John 3:16. John 3:16 的那段. It's just a part of the Bible and just a little section of the Bible. And so she just read it to him. And I'm sure he still didn't understand. Go ahead. The little boy really didn't understand. 根本没有背景，所以他怎么可能这个理解？ How could he understand? 怎么可能理解？ There's no way for him to understand. Go ahead. But he did understand one thing. 他就理解明白一件事情。 That the lady was awfully nice. 非常非常善良的，非常非常好。对一个 total stranger. Total, in this case, a total stranger 是根本是陌生人。根本是陌生人。Okay, the lady was awfully, 相当好。Sometimes if you say awfully nice, it's even quite nice, 相当。Awfully nice, even maybe even better than 相当, but she was a very nice lady, okay? And he did understand that. Maybe not John 3:16. Going on. Is this too good to be true? We say this often. It's too good to be true, meaning it's 难以相信的. It's hard to believe. It's hard to believe. 难以相信的. Too good to be. 是不是难以相信？真的是这样吗？ Are there people as kind as that lady? And that's a good question we can ask ourselves today. Are there people as nice as that lady? 像这个女人这么好，而我们的世界有没有这么好的人？ And then we can ask the next question. The next question is, what motivates? What motivates people to do kind deeds? What motivates people to do kind deeds? And of course, when I first read this story, I also thought, and that's going on to the next one, of course, I wondered, 我就想, if God could really be that good, 这个神会不会这么好? So that's the way I finished the story. Could God be that good? Could there be people that good? The answer is yes. It is true. Now, you can write an email to us. So we're going on here. We have an email address. The email address is theoldprinciple 老校长 @gmail.com. Or you can go to our website and look at the videos, www.theoldprinciple.org. Hope you've enjoyed our time together. I've enjoyed teaching you. And join us next time for another interesting lesson.